The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and Your Sports Network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Welcome into a Thursday edition of Running Points, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. If you're in the market for a brand new or slightly used automobile, check out the good folks at Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. They got a great sales department, great service department, great finance departments. All three of them together make a great dealership. So if you are in the market for a new or slightly used automobile, check out Greenwood Chevrolet. Before you make a commitment to a car, make sure you check out Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Plenty of basketball on the high school front last night. We had some girls' games, and we had 4 boys' games involving teams in Trumbull County, and go figure, these schools are going to be needing to play an awful lot of games. We've been saying this all along, that you're going to be seeing guys playing basketball on nights that are reserved for girls normally. Normally Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday and Saturday reserved for the girls. Tuesday, Friday, and every once in a while on a Saturday for the boys. 4 games last night on what is perceived to be girls' night in the basketball floor. Badger got a victory over champion. Newton Falls knocked off Wyndham. Maplewood defeated Chalker, and Brookfield upending Grand Valley. And then, of course, last night, all kinds of games on girls' basketball. And we'll have all kinds of games on the network tonight involving girls basketball, maybe a couple of boys basketball games as well. Should be entertaining. I know that Larry Scragg and I will spend the first of 3 straight nights at Rebel Gym in Crestview. Lady Rebels will be taking on Brookfield tonight from the Crestview High School Gymnasium, and then the boys will play Brookfield on Friday night. And then Saturday afternoon, we'll have the Western Reserve Crestview game from Rebels Gymnasium at Crestview High School. So should be an awful lot of fun. We're going to be really busy, Larry and I, on the network. Yesterday, I hope everyone had an opportunity. We've posted the interview that I had with Andy Hake. Yesterday, during the program, Valley Christian came out with a press release announcing that they had hired Andy Hake to be the brand new coach at Valley Christian. And one of the really cool things about YSN, it's an entity where not only do we want to have some fun broadcasting high school games, we also want to have an opportunity to go into some breaking news and an opportunity to talk with newly hired coaches and pick their brain and see what's going on. Now, as luck would have it, and I will flat out say this, it was luck for me. Andy and I had an interesting relationship when I was over at Clear Channel and I made mention of this yesterday, Western Reserve was a team that I was following closely. One of my dear friends growing up in Boardman had a son who was the starting quarterback for Western Reserve. I believe his junior and senior years, he was the starting quarterback over at Western Reserve, Don Velasquez. And I started following Western Reserve, and obviously I struck up a good friendship. I don't know if I want to say friendship more than, I guess it's a friendship. I consider Andy a friend, but I think it's more of a mutual respect from the standpoint he's a coach, I'm in the media, and we had a great time going back and forth. And fortunately, I still had his number on my cell phone. I kept his cell number, and I'm glad I did, because when I heard the news that Andy was going to be taking over for Valley Christian, the first thing that popped in my mind was, well, let's call him up, congratulate him, and invite him on the program. And Andy, being the great guy that he is, said, hell yeah, I'll do it. And, fortunately, we struck gold here, and Andy's first interview was with YSN. And this could have happened to anybody. I'm not going to sit here and say that, I'm the reason why, Andy Hake came on the show. That's not the case at all. Anybody at YSN could have reached out to Andy. I mean, even if I wasn't on the air and someone else was on the air, I would have gladly said, hey, here's Andy's number, reach out to him, let's see what happens. I think one of the great things about YSN was right for yesterday. Yesterday was a classic example why there is a market and there is a local presence that is very much needed. Not that our brothers and sisters in the media are not doing a good job. They are. I mean, I'm a huge fan of all of our TV stations. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Doug Chapin and the work that he's done as the sports editor of the Tribune Chronicle and the Vindicator. And I'm a huge fan of the two newspapers down in Columbiana County that do a yeoman's job of covering the schools in Columbiana County as well as the schools in the southern tier of Mahoning County. I'm a huge fan of our media, and I've said this on so many occasions. When you have traveled the country and lived in just about every part of the country like I have, I've lived out west, I've lived in the Southwest, I've lived in the Deep South. I've lived in South Florida. I've lived in the Northeast. I've lived in the Midwest. I've lived in some pretty cool places. And some places that claim that they do a great job of covering local sports. Claim that they do a great job of covering high school sports. And some places, there's no two ways about it. They do a very nice job. My 6 years in Jackson, Tennessee. Jackson, Tennessee is one of the great southern cities that very few people have heard of. And my brothers and sisters in the media there do a phenomenal job of covering high school sports in the hub city. Springfield, Illinois, one of the great cities in the Midwest. And they do a great job of covering high school sports. But none of these towns, Vero Beach, Florida, Jackson, Tennessee, Elmira, New York, Altoona, PA, Springfield, Illinois, Visalia, California, Lubbock and Abilene, Texas, none of these towns are anywhere remotely close to the high school coverage and just the way high school sports is covered. Nobody in the towns that I just mentioned are remotely close to the kind of coverage that you're getting in the Mahoning Valley. And it's, obviously we're a nice part of it. There's no two ways about it. And days like yesterday make me really proud to be a part of YSN because, again, there is a large market for a format like this program, and when there is a huge announcement coming forth and we have the means to get the local coach on the air, by God, we are going to do it. And I thought it was great coverage, and I thought Andy was fantastic, even when I busted his balls over the fact that he's now a parochial school guy, not parochial, a private school guy, where now he can recruit. Oh, I had some fun with this. You got to understand, when Andy was coaching at Western Reserve, he and I, on the air, used to have some really good discussions about the fact that, the two parochial schools and Valley Christian have an advantage. Well, I don't even want to say an advantage. They have an opportunity to invite some people into their brand, into Cardinal Mooney High School, into Ursuline High School, into Valley Christian High School, and in Columbiana County, into Heartland Christian High School. They don't have a set border like all the other public schools. Public schools have set borders. The parochial schools, the Christian schools, they don't have set borders. This is if you're interested in having a Christ-based education, you'll go to a parochial school. You'll go to a Christian school. And there's an argument to be made that a lot of people would just as soon rather go to these days. In folks that are wanting to have religion in Christianity religion and put it in their child's mind and have that child not only growing up but going to school in an atmosphere like that. There's one of the main reasons why kids go to public or go to a parochial school or go to a Christian school is for that very reason. Now, let's be honest, there's other reasons, but the biggest reason I would like to think is, we want our kids to have an education that is more suited to our Christian values. I got no problems with that. That's honestly, that's a great reason. Now, having said that, he was very, he had a very interesting opinion on parochial schools and whatnot. So I had to give it to him a little bit and say, okay, now you're no longer in a public school. Now you're in a private school setting, and now you get to experience this particular avenue. But I think it was a great interview. I think Andy opened up to the past, which my hope in all of this, forget about the redemption story for a second, which I think is going to be a hell of a story, especially if Andy's able to turn Valley Christian around. And I do think Valley Christian is going to be an unbelievably good team because Andy does a great job as a coach. All of that aside for a second, I hope that past is the past. And I hope moving forward that Coach Hake has learned a very valuable lesson, and I think he has. I think that the time away, the time spent in rehab, and everything else is going to go a long way. And America loves a good comeback. Redemption is one of the great words in the English language. And I think that Andy Hake has an opportunity with this new gig at Valley Christian. I think he has a wonderful opportunity at having a hell of a redemption story. And honestly, I think that it's going to write itself out. I think Andy's going to be very, very successful over at Valley Christian. And I think it was a great hire by Valley Christian. And Lord knows they did their due diligence. They did their back checking. They conducted a couple of really up close and personal interviews, and they vetted him. There's no two ways about it. So I think that this is a great hire. And like I said yesterday, it made for some really, really good listening because I think that Andy's always one of these guys that just he's going to tell you, he's going to tell you what he's feeling. And one of the reasons why the members of the media in this town absolutely love coaches like Andy that don't pull any punches. They're not going to be, they're not going to sugarcoat anything, and they just speak what's on their mind. That's one of the reasons why I like the guy. And I think he's going to be incredibly successful at Valley Christian. And I think the EOAC has become a much better football division, much better football conference now with the arrival of Andy Hake. And I would say this to the folks at Valley Christian: this is not going to be overnight. You're going to go into the state playoffs and do some serious damage and be the third team that goes to the state semifinals. Look, I mean, it's going to be a process, but you got the right guy for the job. And more importantly, I think yesterday was a win for a lot of folks, and for YSN it was a big win. And it's days like yesterday that, this entity that we have, it's not just having some fun broadcasting high school games. When DJ thought of YSN, I think one of the things outside of doing high school broadcasts was for days like yesterday when we're able to break a news, or, well, not necessarily break the news, but be the first folks there to get an interview with the new head coach of a school. And I think it was cool. And under the circumstances of what Andy has gone through, I think it was really, really cool that we got him on the air. And he didn't disappoint me. I asked him some really important questions from his past, and he answered them, and it was fun. And I wish him nothing but the best. I mean, until he plays Leetonia, of course. Hey, look, I got to stick up for my alma mater. I'm just saying. Yeah, I mean, when he comes down to Leetonia, Coach Julia, the Bears, hopefully they take care of business. I would be a horrible Leetoniaite if I didn't root for my Bears. But I think that Valley Christian hit a home run. In this case, scored a touchdown. I think it's a great hire, and I think what we did yesterday. I equate this, for me, a blind squirrel finds a nut. I was lucky. I had Andy's number in my long list of numbers that I have, and I was very fortunate that he was more than happy to do it, and we had a blast doing it, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, open for business. With you till 3 o'clock, at which time DJ and the boys will have a Power Hour, Thursday edition of Power Hour. We were, and we love talking about high school ball and whatnot. Yesterday, there was a lot of conversation going on yesterday that James Harden was going to get traded, and that the Houston Rockets were essentially saying, look, he's not even going to be with this team. We don't want this cancer anywhere near the Rockets locker room, and we are going to facilitate a trade as quickly as possible. And the Cleveland Cavaliers were one of the important pieces in a 4-team deal that included Houston, New Jersey, Indiana, and the Cavaliers. Houston picked up a ridiculous amount of first-round draft picks. They also picked up Oladipo from Indiana, who I think is a fantastic basketball player. And obviously, the Rockets getting the beard, as James Harden will go to Brooklyn. He and Kevin Durant, and who knows if Kyrie Irving is going to ever play another game in Brooklyn again. I would like to say that he fell off a cliff somewhere, but Kyrie's a flat earther, so I don't even think he thinks that there is such a thing as cliffs. So I guess I can't say that. Yeah, he's a couple of fries short of a supersize. I'll just leave it at that. But hell of a basketball player when he's motivated, but he's a couple of fries short of a supersize as far as I'm concerned. The big thing for the Cavaliers was the Cavaliers gave up a second-round draft pick, Dante Exum, and Milwaukee's 2022 first-round draft pick, which at one point was going to be worth something really big, except the Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, signed his max deal with Milwaukee. So that first-round draft pick now really isn't worth all that much, considering the fact that with Antetokounmpo in the lineup, it's not going to be a lottery pick. It'll probably be a late first-round draft pick, so it doesn't have as much value. Now, if Antetokounmpo had gone somewhere else, that 2022 first-round draft pick is probably a top 5 or a top 3 pick, and that's why the Cavaliers had hung on to it for a while. But then when the Greek Freak signed the contract, okay, no big deal. So they traded that first-round draft pick, which is going to be a low first-round pick, a second-round pick, an Exum. And the Cavaliers absolutely stole Jared Allen, who is becoming, at 24 years of age, one of the elite big guys in the NBA. Now, he's going to be a restricted free agent at the end of the year. The Cavaliers are going to sign him. They're going to sign him to a pretty massive contract. And the fact that they acquired him, they also acquired his bird rights, which means that he ain't going anywhere. The Cavaliers will have an opportunity to match anything that anyone gives or offers to Jared Allen. They also picked up a guy that, honestly, I think that he is also a steal in Taurean Prince. Prince is a potential lockdown defensive guy who can play the 3 and he can play the 4, and he's actually not a bad player offensively. He's not elite, but he's not a bad player offensively. He's not going to embarrass you. Honestly, I think he's Jetty Osman with better defense. And the Cavaliers, who for the last 2 years were dead last in the NBA in defense, they're now near the top in defense, thanks in large part to Andre Drummond, who is a free agent, an unrestricted free agent at the end of this year. Well, here's a spoiler alert. The Cavs will probably trade Andre Drummond, or they'll trade JaVale McGee and get some parts, and some draft picks to continue to build this team up. They got all kinds of big men. I think they now have 6 big men. And when everyone gets healthy, I am a firm believer when everyone gets healthy, and it won't be too much longer, this Cavs team is a playoff team. They're going to be a playoff team this year because they're playing such incredible defense, thanks in large part to Drummond and his just massive presence in the paint. And now you add the 24-year-old in Allen. Oh, my God. This team just got exponentially better in the post, both offensively and defensively. I absolutely love this deal. From a Cavs perspective, I absolutely love this deal. And I think the Cavaliers, you want to talk about a team that is flying under the radar right now. Just flying under the radar. And hasn't really gotten all that much attention, mainly because of COVID. And people, only so many people can go to the Rock, otherwise known as, Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Only so many people can do that. I think there's a lot of folks that aren't thinking NBA because of that. Let me tell you, if you haven't tuned in, if you haven't watched the Cavaliers, They're fun. They're a fun team to watch. Now, unfortunately, the last few days, there's been a lot of health concerns, and there's not too many bodies. And one of the other reasons why this deal is made, now we're going to get Allen and Prince immediately into this lineup, and now maybe we can, I don't know, field a pretty decent basketball team with about 9 people down. Maybe we can have 8 or 9 kids to play basketball that are NBA talented instead of, G League players and guys that you're literally signing off the streets. I mean, no lie. It's been crazy. When this team is healthy, it is going to be so much fun to watch the Cavaliers. It just is. It is going to be an absolute blast to watch the Cavaliers. And I think that getting these 2 kids, and make no mistake about it, Allen is the featured act. Jared Allen is an unbelievably talented defensive presence, and he's not too shabby offensively. Between he and Andre Drummond, you've got 2 really good big men on both ends of the floor. And then you've got a potential lockdown defensive player in Taurean Prince. Oof. Defensively, this team now has solid defense on the wing, solid defense in the post, and they can more than make up for the very small, very poor defensive duo of Garland and Sexton. So it'll be an awful lot of fun. The other thing that made news, and this made news about an hour ago, Mike Tomlin made some serious changes in the coaching staff with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin fired 3 coaches about an hour ago, including the offensive coordinator, Randy Finkner. He is gone. Offensive line coach, Sean Serrett, gone. Defensive back coach, Tom Bradley, also let go by the Steelers today. I think you're sending a huge message. Now, I'm not reading Finkner's gone, that means Ben's gone and we're going to start all over again. No, I don't think Ben's going to be leaving anytime soon. Now, in a perfect world, if the Steelers had a reliable replacement for Roethlisberger, I think that you would probably have that conversation. And look, I mean, who knows? I said coming out of college that the kid from Oklahoma State had an opportunity to be a good quarterback, not a great quarterback, but a good quarterback. Probably a great backup, but if he was a starter, he's not gonna kill you. He's not going to he's not going to throw 90 interceptions or anything like that. I mean, he's not going to be a superstar player, but he's not gonna kill you. Well, you got to have better than that. You definitely have to have better than that if you're going to be a championship caliber team. I mean, let's be honest. When Ben left last year and was out, the Steelers were 8-8. Well, look, they were 8-8 for a reason. Their quarterback play was mediocre. And when you have a mediocre quarterback, 9 times out of 10, you have a mediocre football season. That's why, and a lot of people will look and say, well, the quarterback is important, but, there's other positions that are important. Of course they are. Absolutely they are. Look, you can have all-world wide receivers, but if your quarterback isn't getting the job done, those receivers aren't worth a hill of beans. You can have an all-world quarterback, $1 million quarterback, but if you've got a 10-cent offensive line, your $1 million quarterback ain't going to be worth a hill of beans because he's going to be on his ass more often than he is straight up and down throwing the ball because he's going to have someone knocking him down. You can have all-world DBs, but if your pass rush is garbage, your all-world DBs are going to be average because the quarterback's going to have all day to throw the football, and any NFL quarterback worth his salt, if he has all day to throw the football, he's going to get something accomplished. That's just the reality. So the fact that you have a really, really nice backup quarterback right now in Pittsburgh, and if you have him, call upon him to play, he's not gonna embarrass you. He's not gonna kill you with turnovers or anything like that. But I mean, is this kid really good enough to be a solid upper half starting quarterback in the NFL? Because I mean, let's be honest, if your team has aspirations of being a championship caliber team, you'd better have a championship caliber quarterback. And you don't have one right now. I mean, Ben's it. And he's getting up in age. Now, if I were Pittsburgh, and I don't think that the Jets would do this, because the Jets are looking to get an awful lot more They would be looking to get an awful lot more for Darnold. And honestly, I think the Jets are now going to be building around Darnold now that they're no longer the number one pick in the draft. They're going to be picking second. And I think that they could trade away that second, but I don't think it's a good mix and a good match with the Steelers, because the Steelers are an old team in a lot of different areas. We made mention yesterday. The offensive line, 3/5 of that offensive line is going to need replaced in the next year or two. Look, I love David DeCastro. David DeCastro is a fantastic player, but he's on the back end of his career. Villanueva is on the back end of his career. Pouncey is on the back end of his career. These guys they're good. Don't get me wrong. They're still good, but they're past their prime. All three of them are. You need to replace those three guys. So I think that the changes that went on today, I think more changes are going to be happening, and not necessarily in the coaching staff. I think more changes are going to be happening with the players. And ultimately, I think that the Steelers are going to try to get younger on the fly. And the thing that's probably going to hurt the Steelers right now, they really don't have a lot of salary cap wiggle room. It's not a good situation from that perspective for the Steelers. And you add that with an aging quarterback. Do they have one more year left in them? It depends. Depends on what they can accomplish this offseason. They're certainly not in. They're not in the class of the upper tier of the AFC right now, and that's for right now. Who knows what happens in 2021? But I thought it was interesting the three coaches, assistant coaches, let go. Randy Finkner, the offensive coordinator, was let go today. So was the offensive line coach, Sean Surratt, and the defensive back coach, Tom Bradley. All three of them shown the gate. And that's part of the business. You don't produce, sorry about your luck. That's part of the business of being in being in the grandest stage of them all. If you can't produce, then you're not going to be there too long. And I think it was Jerry Glanville that famously said, "NFL stands for not for long." And in this case, if you don't cut the mustard, that's it. Speaking of cutting the mustard, there is a substantial chance that as early as today, Urban Meyer is going to be introduced as the new head football coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. That is pretty much a done deal. From everything that I've heard, it's pretty much a done deal that Urban Meyer is going to be named the new head football coach of the Jacksonville Jags. And I think it's interesting, and I'd love to know, first of all, I would love to know if the first pick in the draft was the selling point. I mean, let's be honest. And you look, I mean, I'm just gonna say it right now. There isn't a chance in hell that Urban Meyer takes Fields over Trevor Lawrence. Urban Meyer is a coach, and he is a guy that perceives loyalty to everywhere he's gone. When he was in Utah, it was all about the Utes. When he was at Bowling Green, it was all about the Falcons. When he was in Florida, it was all about the Gators. When he was at Ohio State, all about the Buckeyes. When he was at Fox, all about doing college football. Urban Meyer is also a shrewd business guy who really doesn't carry loyalty with him. He's not going to be drafting an Ohio State Buckeye just because that player was an Ohio State Buckeye. Now, Urban Meyer don't play like that. Or Urban Meyer let me back up because I have to say it right. It bothers me when people do it this way. Urban Meyer could not care less where a player has gone to school. Because Urban Meyer is only interested in one thing, and that's winning. And he doesn't really give a rat's ass if your kid went to Ohio State, if he coached them. He has zero loyalty when it comes to that. Urban Meyer wants to win. There isn't a chance in hell Urban Meyer takes Fields over Trevor Lawrence. He'll take Trevor Lawrence with the first pick. There's absolutely no way. And I'll write it down in ink. I'll write it down in permanent marker. There is no freaking way Urban Meyer doesn't take Trevor Lawrence. Unless Trevor Lawrence kills himself or has a career-ending injury between now and draft day, Urban Meyer is taking Trevor Lawrence with the first pick. And Urban Meyer is taking this job because he has an opportunity to have arguably the best quarterback coming out of college since Andrew Luck. That's the reason why he's taken the Jacksonville job. And he'll do well. I think he'll do well. And, it'll be fun for the people in Jacksonville. It will be fun. There's no two ways about it. And I said when he said adios to Ohio State, and look, he said adios to Ohio State. Ohio State suspended him for 3 games. And look, when was it, 2 years ago that he was suspended the 3 games at Ohio State? And I knew right then and there he was done. I mean, that relationship was shot to hell the moment Ohio State suspended him for 3 games. That relationship was gone. Urban Meyer was gonna bounce out of Ohio State because they didn't show him loyalty, and they suspended him. So that being said, I knew he was going to come back and coach. I thought he'd stay in college football. Appears he's going to go to the NFL. Really good chance he's going to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the big reason, he gets an opportunity to coach Trevor Lawrence. And if there is a college coach or a guy that has recently coached in college that can make the transition from college ball to the pros, it's Urban Meyer. It's Urban Meyer. Urban's got the, and I don't want to say this in a bad way because you can be a narcissist in a good way. Urban Meyer has a narcissist skill about him that makes him a really good football coach. And I think that he will be the perfect fit in Jacksonville. I think he will be. I think he'll be the perfect fit. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, open for business. We're going to be catching up, talking Penguins women's basketball, Penguins women's basketball. Dre Smith will be chiming in around 1 o'clock. We're going to talk some Penguins women's hoops. They split with Oakland last weekend. 4 games in. I'm just grateful that the women are playing some basketball at YSU. With everything that happened, the 2 bouts of COVID, and now they're finally on the basketball floor, and knock on wood, hopefully they don't have any more problems. Hopefully they get on a roll too. I think it was Saturday. They only committed 12 turnovers, and I made mention on the broadcast when Richie Giuliano and I were doing the games for the ESPN3, ESPN Plus. I made mention, look, if Youngstown State turns the ball over 12 times or less, they're going to win a very high majority of their basketball games. They committed 12 turnovers on Saturday, and they got the victory. And, the first 3 games, they were averaging about 20 turnovers a game. That was way too many turnovers. All right, 330-886-0813. We'll take a timeout, be back with more. It is a Thursday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Back in a bit.
21 News.
Let's get right to our top story tonight.
More experienced reporters.
A new Wilmington restaurant.
GM Lordstown.
Telling more local stories.
We'll look at efforts
boy is recovering from a broken
around our valley.
Community in Niles.
We are here in Youngstown, right up.
Because you expect
It's important for everyone. No place like home.
more local news.
In Mercer County
Before
Court.
they become life-threatening.
21 News is our valley's #1 local news.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends: shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years. I think whenever we go there, whatever car we're looking for, they have tremendous inventory.
If you're looking for people who care about you, Greenwood is the place to go.
You know, it's like family there. The girls know me in service. It's Miss Kim in the Tahoe.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Local teams are heating up the hardwoods, and you can keep up with all the action on and off the court with Five Guys Hoop News all season long on 21 Sports.
Welcome back to a Thursday edition of Running Points presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. For those wondering, get a nice little look here. I get a teal hoodie, Teal College out in Greenville. Shout out to my relatives. Wonderful present they gave me. Shout out to my relatives living in one of the coolest cities in Western PA. Love Greenville. Love going up there. It's a fun town. And Teal College in Greenville. So they gave me the hoodie for the holidays. I love this. It fits perfectly. You know, it's. I hate to say this. It's a triple X. And I'm not talking the stuff that you're not allowed to see, if you're under 18. I'm talking about this is a large mamma jamma right here. And, it fits me well. And it's not to say that I've gained a lot of weight. I haven't. I haven't. It fits me really well. So a double X, triple X, that's all good in my neighborhood, and I'm still under 230 pounds, so that's always good. Hoping to be svelte like my dad. And I was talking with him a couple of days ago, and he said, he'd been talking about how he was losing weight, pops down to like under 200 pounds. I'm like, what the hell? I got work to do. I gotta look as good as the old man. I got work to do here. All right, 330-886. 0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, open for business. We made mention a couple of coaches that have new positions. Boardman hiring Seth Antrim. We made mention of this yesterday. I think, first of all, it's a great decision for Boardman because Boardman has always been known for hiring their own. There is a mantra in Boardman that is ringing true, and it's been true for 50-plus years. Once a Spartan, always a Spartan. And I started going to school at Boardman. My brothers and I, my oldest brother was, I think we left Boardman. He was going into junior high at Leetonia. So he was going into 7th grade. My older brother was going into 5th grade, and I was going into 3rd grade. And my sister was the only one of the four of us that spent kindergarten through senior year at Leetonia. She was the only one that had the Leetonia experience from start to finish. Kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, Robinwood Lane Elementary School on Indianola Road and South Avenue. That was my home. That was my home, and my older brother, he kindergarten through 4th grade at Robinwood Lane, and then my oldest brother went to Glenwood Middle School, and he was at Glenwood 5th and 6th grade, and then my father moved all of us out of Boardman, went to Leetonia. And that's where we spent the rest of our schooling and graduated from Leetonia High School. So once a Spartan, always a Spartan. The running joke with me is if you cut me open, I'm going to be bleeding navy blue for Leetonia, a tinge of maroon for Boardman, because those are my two teams. Now, recently, because of the fact that I'm broadcasting games with Crestview, and my nephew is a junior this year, and I'm having just an absolute blast broadcasting his games. A little bit of Crestview in me, and it's cool because I always admired Crestview when I was at Leetonia. I always thought Crestview was a really cool school. We had a lot of friends back in the day that went to Crestview. And Drake Golden's father, Joey, and I used to hang out in the same circles with the Brooks brothers and a bunch of other people from Leetonia and Crestview, causing all kinds of interesting things. So Crestview has always been one of my favorite schools outside of Leetonia. So it's been an awful lot of fun. But getting to Boardman, it was so important for the Spartans to think, just forget about, if the most qualified person for this job happens to be a former Spartan in some capacity, fine. I think what they did, hiring someone outside of Boardman, I think it was a fantastic decision. Sean Antrim, Seth Antrim, 2002 graduate of Crestview. He was the quarterback and wide receiver at Crestview. He has spent a couple of years with Youngstown State. He was out of state, taking care of some business and coaching in the high school ranks out of state. The last year, he was the offensive coordinator for Cheney. So he's been around the block. He's a young kid. He's been out of high school now. It'll be 19 years this June. So, he's in his mid-late 30s. So he's a young kid. And I think that this is a great move for Boardman, both in the short term and the long term. I think that Coach Antrim is going to be someone that, Lord willing, and hopefully the job is such where he can stay there for a good 20-plus years and lead this Spartans program to some really, really great places. And I think that Coach Antrim will do a fantastic job. We made mention Andy Hake getting hired by Valley Christian. We talked a little bit about this on the program today, a little while ago. I think one of the cool things about a platform like YSN, not just to do high school games. I mean, hell, we're having too much fun doing the high school games. I mean, it's just that's gravy. Doing shows like this, where, I'm going to be talking some high school stuff, but we're also going to be branching out and doing some other stuff. Yeah, man, shows like this, great for YSN. But the crux of YSN and the greatness that is YSN were days like yesterday, where for some strange luck, I still had Andy Hake's number in my Rolodex. And I gave him a call as soon as I found out that Valley Christian had hired him as the head football coach, and Andy graciously wanted to come on, and we talked, and we had a great time, and it was fun, and it was a blast, and that is everything good about YSN. When we have the coach that is the brand new head football coach at Valley Christian. And look, truth be told, if I had Seth Antrim's number, I'd have given him a call. If I had Tom Conrad's number from Champion, I would have given him a call. Unfortunately, I don't. Now, hopefully I will, and hopefully we'll have Coach Antrim and Coach Conrad on when we get set to do high school football this fall. But, getting Coach Hake on and hearing his story and hearing the plight that he went through after the mistakes that he made at Western Reserve, made for some interesting talk. Just interesting talk. And I think that the platform at YSN, this is one of the reasons why we have it. Not just to do the games, not just to give a lot of credit and a lot of publicity to the kids that play, but for days like yesterday, when I believe a potentially huge redemption story is about to be written. And, I'm proud to say that we were the first members of the media that got a hold of Coach Hake, and we were the first people to get his feeling on what was going on. And that made for some really, really good talk. And hopefully everyone enjoyed it yesterday. All right, speaking of really, really good talk, we got some really good talk coming up with our YSU guy, YSU women's basketball broadcaster, Dre Smith will be calling in on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline. We're going to talk some YSU women's basketball. Women got off the schneid last weekend. They split with Oakland. They're on the road, and we'll see what the Penguins can do. 1-3. Hopefully, the Penguins get on a roll. They have an opportunity to really do some damage and get themselves right back into the top half of the Horizon League standings. There's a lot of winnable games on the schedule the next 4 or 5 meetings, the next 8 to 10 games. There's potential for minimum 7 wins of the next 10 games. And knock on wood, everyone's healthy. We don't have COVID. And, you know, if the Penguins play like they played last Saturday against Oakland, this is a team that it could potentially get right back into the thick of things in the Horizon League. So we'll hear from Dre, and we'll get the temperature. No pun intended there. We'll get the temperature of the YSU women's basketball program with Dre. That's coming up in a bit. Plus, we'll take some phone calls. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline open for business. 330-886-0813. Back in a bit.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local, independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford and drive home in a new or pre-owned vehicle. Choose from our great selection of new Ford models or pre-owned vehicles. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rude gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
High-res Futurecast shows steady snow for the next few hours.
Still just downright cold.
It is bitter out there.
Several strong bands of lake effect snow.
Winds is kind of the big story today as well.
So if you need a more detailed winter forecast on WFMJ.com and the Storm Tracker 21 app.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet
because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Welcome back to a Thursday edition of Running Points, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. And joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, the voice of the YSU women's program, Dre Smith. Dre, how goes it, sir?
Doing good, Ron. I'm actually in a car right now on my way to Chicago, getting ready for the women's series this weekend against UIC. So excited to be heading out, and first road trip of the season is always exciting. So hopefully we can bring back a couple of wins.
All right, Dre, I gotta ask, before we even start this thing, I mean, you're going to be in Chicago long before tomorrow night, tip-off tomorrow night at UIC. So a night in Chicago, plenty of restaurants, plenty of good eats in Chicago. It's one of my favorite cities. I like to call it New York City with Midwestern values. What is on tap food-wise for Dre on a Thursday night in Chicago?
Well, it's interesting, Ron, because right now what I'm hearing is that all the restaurants are closed and that everything is takeout only. So it's going to be interesting to see what we can get done. Obviously, when you go to Chicago, the deep dish pizza is number one on the list. Giordano's is my favorite. I haven't had a chance to explore some of the local favorites. Typically, when I'm out here with the women in Chicago, it's business. You know, you have practice and games and work to be done, so I don't get to go out and explore the city too much in the years that I've been here. But if I can find some deep dish pizza somewhere, I think that's definitely top of the list.
Well, Giordano's, you don't get much better than that. So it's that is the place in Chicago, and there's a couple of really good Italian restaurants, but like you said, the restaurants are closed, and you got to do takeout. And you know, call me crazy, but takeout food just isn't the same, because by the time you get back to the hotel, it's not going to be as warm and it's not going to be as good. So there you go.
Exactly. It's going to be an interesting trip. We'll make do with what we got.
Hey, speaking of not being so good, the first 3 games of the year, you can pretty much write that for the YSU women. A lot of turnovers in the first 3 games, and I think that was one of the big reasons why they had struggled the first 2 games against Wright State. They struggled the first game against Oakland, and lo and behold, Saturday, 12 turnovers, which is the magic number as far as I'm concerned. If you can keep it to 12 or less turnovers, I think this team can win at least 80% of their games. And you know, Saturday was a great example. Youngstown State didn't turn the ball over all that much, and lo and behold, they get a good victory over Oakland.
Yeah, it was a great victory, and that's what Coach talked about this week. Was he felt like the win against Oakland was the first time this year that they really valued every possession and valued the basketball. And I think some of that has come with just, you know, not being on the floor. We've talked about it multiple times, you know, being shut down for as long as they were and not having their game legs under. I think that the turnovers were a part of that. You know, when you're trying to get your game legs under you and you're trying to get conditioned and trying to get into a flow, I think that the turnovers were sort of inevitable with the time off that they had. But to see them take care of the basketball on Saturday and play well offensively, I think that's what coaches said was going to take the longest to come back, was that offensive rhythm, because they've really done a good job defensively. They're one of the top teams in the league in scoring defense, and you know, I thought they've done a pretty good job holding teams, you know, to a pretty good number on defense, but it was just that offensive side of the ball. And to see them really come alive and shoot the ball well, to see Chelsea Olsen get going, that was the biggest. Goes as she goes. She's the leader. You know, she's the senior, the preseason first-team All-Her selection, and she played like it on Saturday. 24 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. She did a little bit of everything, and it was really just a microcosm of her entire career. She's been one of the most versatile players in the Horizon League throughout her career, and she was on Saturday. So to see the offensive rhythm come about a little bit, to see them get some confidence and play with some passion, that was the biggest thing that I took away from it, and hopefully they can carry that into this weekend on the road.
Nneka Obiizer was named the Nike Horizon League Freshman of the Week. She had a double-double, 17 points, 10 rebounds against Oakland on Friday. 12 points, 9 rebounds. 12 points, 9 rebounds in Game 1 of the series on Friday. 22 points, 11 rebounds in Saturday. 10 of 19 from the field in the victory. Obiizer not only can play the perimeter, she can also be a really nice post-up player at 5'10".
Absolutely, and I was talking to assistant coach Andy Crane this week. He's the recruiting coordinator for the program, and he really told me that this is sort of what they expected from her. You know, they had high expectations for NECA coming in. She was one of the top players in the state of Minnesota, and to get her here was big, and they expected her to be in the starting lineup and make these contributions. But, you know, for all of us who call the games and watch the games, you know, I think we're all a bit surprised to see a freshman playing the way she is, but it's no surprise to the coaching staff. She is as talented as it gets. She is competitive. I think that's the number one thing that I've noticed calling the games is she is such a competitor. You know, her will to win, her will to rebound, you know, even when she misses a shot inside, seems like she's always getting her own rebound and getting second chance opportunities. She's been a real bright spot, and, you know, it's pretty amazing when you look at some of the notes. For freshmen to score 20 points in a double-double, it was the first time since 2009, 2010 that a freshman scored 20 points in a double-double. The last one to do it was the great Brandy Brown, of course, who is arguably one of the best players in program history. NECA is only one of 6 players in YSU's Division I history to get 20 points in a double-double as a freshman. So pretty amazing what she's accomplished already. Coach Crane talked about her versatility, being able to play the 4 position, that power forward, when Mary Dunn is in the game, but then also being able to slide down and play the 5 position. She can guard multiple spots. She's athletic enough to play on the perimeter, but then also strong enough to play down low. Her versatility is impressive, and I think the one thing that we've seen a little bit of, but the thing that hopefully will shine through the rest of the year is that she can shoot it as well. She made a couple threes in that series against Wright State to open the season, and in addition to what she can do down low, she's a really talented shooter as well. So I'm excited to see that part of her game evolve. Just a really, really talented player, and fans are going to get used to the name NECA Obiizer for years to come.
You know, and I go back to the mid-late 90s, basketball royalty at Youngstown State, 3 trips to the NCAA tournaments as a Division I program. And, you know, you go back to that era, Anne-Marie Martin, Shannon Beach, Colleen Cook, Caroline McCombs, Liz Hoger. And I'm putting NECA Obiizer right up there with every single player that I just mentioned. She reminded me of some of those great players that donned a Penguins uniform in the mid to late 90s. And given that Obiizer is just a freshman, John Barnes has a great relationship and a great pool of talent coming from the state of Wisconsin. He's got a good pipeline there. If he can get a couple of more kids like Obiizer from Minnesota and the upper Midwest and continue to recruit really well here in the Mahoning Valley, oh, man, does this team have a lot of potential.
Oh, there's no doubt. And you look at the future, it's extremely bright. And, you know, Coach Crane, again, talking to him this week, he said that the biggest thing they're excited about is the depth that they're going to have moving forward. When you look at Maddie Shires being only a sophomore, Maddie Albaugh, only a sophomore. NECA Obiizer, obviously a freshman. You have Malia Magestro, who's contributing as a freshman. Taylor Pettit, who had a strong freshman year, is just a sophomore. I mean, so many players that are just in their first or second years here. And then with the extension of eligibility due to COVID-19, you know, you could have another year of Chelsea Olsen, McKenna Peters, Mary Dunn, in addition to all of these young talented players. So the future is extremely bright. There's going to be depth for years to come, which I think has been an issue for the Penguins in the past. When injuries would hit or a player would go down, we just didn't have that depth to be able to carry us through. And I think now, with all of these talented young players in addition to the upperclassmen, you have a lot of options. You know, Coach Barnes can play a lot of players, keep people fresh. And it's really exciting, not only for this year, but for years to come, hopefully.
Women's basketball, and for the same thing for the guys, college basketball, if you're a college basketball fan, you are going to see a severe uptick in talent because of where everyone is, where everyone's essentially going to be repeating the same place where they are. So seniors have, if they want, another year of eligibility. Juniors are going to be having another year of their junior year before they go to their to their senior year. Everyone gets an extra year of eligibility, and I think more so in the women's game because I don't think you'll see a mass exodus of college talent in the WNBA draft. I think the women's game is going to have an unbelievably great effect in terms of talent.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the one thing that I always tell people about women's basketball is that there's so much more talent than people realize. You know, you look at our league from top to bottom. Green Bay's been one of the best teams in the country. You know, Milwaukee's undefeated. IUPUI went to the NCAA tournament last year. Just in the Horizon League alone, there is a number of talented teams. And, you know, for Youngstown State to possibly have, you know, some of their three best seniors coming back for another year in addition to the young talent, I mean, it's really, really exciting. And, you know, I know talking to Chelsea Olsen this week, she said that, you know, while she's happy with what they've accomplished as a team and, you know, she's happy with the individual accolades she's achieved, that she's 19 points away from 1,000, of course, going into the weekend. You know, she said that the program's number one goal is to win a Horizon League championship. And obviously that's the one thing that Coach Barnes and his coaching staff has not been able to accomplish that they set out as a major goal. They've went to postseason play. They've went to the WNIT. They've went to the WBI. They've accomplished a lot, but they haven't won that elusive Horizon League championship. And I think when you look at the makeup of this team, with possibly those players coming back next year, all of the young players continuing to gain experience, I think this is a team that hopefully can put together the type of run that they hopefully will culminate in a Horizon League championship in the coming years.
Dre, as we get into the meat of the schedule, and now obviously the women they've got their legs under them. You know, they started the season with a double dose of COVID issues, and it wiped out the entire non-conference schedule. They're now in a routine, 4 games in. They got their legs under them. Now they know they're going to be playing 2 games a week, 2 conference games at the same venue. Friday and Saturday, you guys will be in Chicago taking on UIC. You look at the schedule, Dre, the next 4 or 5 teams that Youngstown State plays, encompassing 8 to 10 games, there is an awful lot of opportunity for the Penguins to get on a massive roll and get right back into the Horizon League standings.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I mean, looking at the schedule, and obviously the coaches and players don't ever want to do that. They stay one game at a time. But for those of us on the outside, you look at the schedule, and you have UIC this weekend, which, you know, the first road trip is always tough, and UIC has a new-look team with a lot of talented players. I think they're much improved from what they've been the last couple of years, but, you know, still a team that's 2-5, 1-3 in Horizon League play, a team that only won 3 games last year. So, you know, on paper, you would think YSU would have a good chance to get a couple of wins on the road this weekend. Then you come back and you play Detroit Mercy at home, another team that has really struggled in Horizon League play. Then I think you go to Robert Morris. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but you have a trip to Robert Morris. That's another team that hasn't won a game in Horizon League play. You get Purdue Fort Wayne at home. They haven't won a game in league play. So there's some opportunity out there. Obviously, a trip to IUPUI awaits, which will be really, really tough, a team that is as loaded as it gets in the league. But there's an opportunity here for YSU to build some momentum. And I think getting that win on Saturday was so crucial to build confidence going into this stretch. If you were 0-4 coming out of that second weekend heading to UIC, I don't know how good everybody would be thinking about where this team is at. But to see them come alive and play the way they're capable of on Saturday, get that win over Oakland in convincing fashion, and now head out on the road with a couple winnable games, I think there's reason for optimism. And, you know, this league is wide open. I mean, obviously you have Milwaukee and IUPUI who are undefeated at the top. Northern Kentucky has yet to lose in conference play, but you just don't know what's going to happen. We're seeing games get canceled left and right because of COVID-19 protocols. Teams, you don't know what players are going to be available for what teams heading into a given weekend, and that's what Coach Barnes has talked about is that, you know, at the end of the day, you know, this thing is wide open. Anybody can win on any weekend with the uncertainty that is out there, you know, with all the COVID-19 issues and everything. So YSU can beat anybody on any given day, and I think if you can build some momentum this weekend and hopefully carry that forward, I think YSU is poised to make a nice run here coming up.
YSU women's broadcaster Dre Smith en route to the Windy City, and we're chatting with him via the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline. To give everyone an idea where UIC is located in Chicago, Give everyone the 411. Where is UIC? Is it in downtown, south side, north side?
Yeah, to be honest, I've gone there so many times with the team that I don't even pay attention half the time where we're at. But I know it's just not too far from downtown. You can see the skyline when you're out at the university, so it's not far at all from downtown. It's in the medical district of Chicago, so I know that it's a busy area. It's a really nice university. For those that haven't been out, it's really right near downtown. They have a beautiful athletic complex that overlooks the city. They actually have a beautiful baseball and softball complex that has a great backdrop of the city. And the basketball arena is not far from downtown at all. The Credit Union One Arena is a beautiful facility. Typically not many fans in attendance. Obviously there won't be any this weekend, but a beautiful facility nonetheless. Unfortunately for UIC, they've struggled the last couple of years. They only won 6 games the last 2 years combined. So it's been a struggle for that program, but always a fun trip, going to Chicago. Beautiful city, as you mentioned, sort of the New York of America with some Midwestern values. I like that. For anyone who hasn't been to Chicago, definitely somewhere you want to go and check it out. Like I said, when I'm on the road with the team, it's straight business. It is you show up, you practice, you go back to the hotel, watch film, go to bed, get up, play, and go home. So there's not a lot of time for sightseeing and seeing the city, unfortunately. Especially now with COVID-19, it's going to be pretty much relegated to the hotel and to the arena. But definitely a fun trip, and YSU's had some success out here. We lost here last year, which actually was our first loss here in 7 tries. So the Penguins have played well here in recent years, and hopefully we can keep that going.
Dre, before we let you go, John Barnes, and you and I commented on this off the air well before Saturday's broadcast. You and I were talking about the first 3 games. You saw John Barnes, and with the mask on, you don't get the full details of what he's saying, which is probably a good thing. He was doing a slow burn. Because the one thing that Coach Barnes preaches and hates more than anything else is turnovers. And like I said, the YSU women were turning the ball over an awful lot the first 3 games. And you could see the slow burn developing on the sideline. But Saturday, much more calm, much more, just really relaxed. And I think that the team was relaxed as well. You had an opportunity to talk with him and get his take on what he feels about this team moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I talked with him this week and a couple of times, and I know that he is extremely happy with that win. And I think for the most part, he's just proud of the way the team responded. Oakland's a talented team. They have a lot of firepower, and for us to lose 3 straight, it would have been easy to hang your head and come back on Saturday last week and fall to 0-4, but I think he was just really proud of the way his team responded and the way they took care of the basketball. I think, he just gets so upset when it's the unforced errors. I think it's one thing when a team beats you fair and square, when they line up and make shots and beat you one-on-one. Sometimes you got to tip your cap and accept that, but when you get the unforced errors and you lose a game that you feel like you kind of gave away, I think that's what really eats at him, and I know it was really upsetting for him to see them turn the ball over, especially in the first game against Wright State. They had 22 turnovers, I believe, in that game, and they were down by 1 with, under a minute to go with a chance to win the game. So he felt like if they just would have taken a little bit better care of the basketball in that game, they would have 2 wins right now. So I think that it's just, seeing the team respond and seeing Chelsea Olsen step up and play the way she did. He was extremely proud of the team, and I think his biggest message this week is just to continue that. Continue to value every possession, value the basketball, and if you do that, good things will happen. I think the number one thing he is a little worried about against UIC is they like to pressure. They want to get up and down the floor. They want a full court press. They want to speed you up, and obviously we've had some trouble with that. So I think how we handle their pressure, how we handle their pressure defense and their full court style will be interesting. And it's also going to be interesting, Ron, to see if UIC can sustain that up-tempo style, given that they haven't played since December 20th. They're coming off of their own COVID-19 issues. They've missed their last 4 games, haven't played since before Christmas. So, how are their legs going to be? How is their conditioning? Are they going to be able to full court press and play, that up-tempo style that they want to play? So that's something to keep your eye on here Friday and Saturday, and that'll be one of the keys to victory.
You know, and I'm not going to tell Coach Barnes what to do because he knows a lot more about basketball than I ever will. But from an amateur a guy that's only coached in 1 year, run him off the floor because they haven't played in a while. They're probably not going to press as much because that's going to exert all kinds of energy. So I would think Youngstown State will play upscale and up-tempo and run them off the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. I would think so. I think they feel like they're much better conditioned in this game. And, you know, I think that's one thing that he does want to see more of is us moving the ball in transition. You know, we see other teams do it to us, but I think we have had some success with fast break and getting out and running. You know, we have Chelsea Olsen, we have Maddie Albaugh who can handle the ball well in transition. And I think when we play with pace and we play with a little bit of, speed to us, we have some success. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, but I would expect YSU to try and push the tempo and test those legs of UIC and see how their conditioning is, having not played in so long.
Dre, where are you right now? And I know you're on I-80 because that's how you get to Chicago. You can stay on I-80. And where are you right now? Are you in Indiana?
I'm just about to be at Indiana. I went through Toledo, just went through a toll booth, and now we're getting close to Indiana. So we're making our way out there, just looking for a safe trip.
You're going to make a stop by in the greatest place in God's green earth in the United States?
You know what? It's funny that you say that because I was looking at the route here, and I saw that South Bend was right on my route.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, and as much as I would like to stop and check out the great University of Notre Dame and walk around, and it's somewhere I've never been, I would love to see Notre Dame. Unfortunately, I have work to do, so not much time for me. I got to get to the hotel and get some work done before tomorrow's game.
You know what? After Saturday's game on your way home, make a stop over there and just check out the university. Spend about a half hour or whatever. I guarantee you will walk away in awe.
Absolutely. I've heard nothing but great things, and I think we're going to put that on the list for the trip home on Saturday. Absolutely. That'll be an experience that everyone should make is a trip out to South Bend.
All right, brother. Safe journey, and call 2 great games, and hopefully the Penguins are 3-3 when it's all said and done.
Absolutely. We'll have both games on 1390 WNIO, 3 o'clock Eastern on tomorrow, and then 1 o'clock on Saturday. So we're looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on.
Now, make sure that the sports animal thing is out of sight, out of mind. It's now 1390, the Gambler. You know.
That's right. That's right. So. Yeah, we'll be on the Gambler on Friday and Saturday, so looking forward to hopefully getting a couple of wins, and hopefully the men's team can get a couple of wins at Oakland as well and make it a good weekend for YSU basketball fans.
Boy, from your lips to God's ears, I'd love to see it. Always a pleasure, brother. Call some good basketball this weekend.
Appreciate it, Ron. Thanks for having me. Stay safe, buddy.
See ya. Dre Smith, en route to UIC, one of my favorite cities. I love Chicago. Now, couple of areas in Chicago, mainly the south end of town, and I really wish that the people who own the White Sox would do a better job of getting some things around that ballpark, because when you go into the south end of Chicago, especially and it'll always be Comiskey Park as far as I'm concerned, whatever the hell the name of the place is, you're literally taking your chances. That area of Chicago, I wouldn't put my worst enemy in that area of Chicago. It's a bad part of town. Oh, horrible. But if you get relatively close to downtown and then make your way to the northern part of the city, i.e. Wrigleyville, and the extreme northern part of the city, a stone throw away from Northwestern, which is the next town up from Chicago, and Evanston. Oh, God, it's gorgeous. Great city. And the food there. Look, Youngstown has the best food money can buy you. You know, Chicago and New York are both insanely expensive, and that's why Youngstown, you'll always have upscale food, Italian food, and you're not going to pay an arm, a leg, and your firstborn like you would in Chicago or New York. But the pizza in Chicago, and I'm not a huge fan of deep dish pizza, but once in a while it's good stuff. Yeah, the food in Chicago is unbelievably good. It's good, and there's a couple of places that that I love going to in Chicago. That it's just a great city, and hopefully YSU will have fun in Chicago to the tune of beating UIC 2 times and getting back home with a record of 500. That'll be fun. Dre Smith en route to Chicago. He'll have the game tomorrow and Saturday, and it should be an awful lot of fun. Hopefully the women will take 2 from UIC and get back to 500. We'll take a timeout, back with more. It is a Thursday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rue gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy efficient expert MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
High-res Futurecast shows steady snow for the next few hours.
Still just downright cold.
It is bitter out there.
Several strong bands of lake effect snow.
Winds is kind of the big story today as well.
So if you need a more detailed winter forecast on WFMJ.com and the Storm Tracker 21 app.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home. WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience and comprehensive wealth strategy, we assist our clients attain their goals. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit WRSWealthAdvisors.com. Good luck, athletes!
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy efficient experts.
Welcome back to a Thursday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. With you till 3 o'clock, at which time DJ and the boys will have Power Hour. That'll take you through the 3 o'clock hour. Plenty of basketball on the network tonight. Girls hoops from Crestview High School for yours truly and Larry Scraggs, as we will have the Crestview Brookfield game. Should be a fun game, and that will be tonight from Crestview High School. Varsity game will start somewhere around 7 o'clock. Again, you know the drill by now. You get the junior varsity game starting at 5:30. And, you know, somewhere around 7 o'clock, could be a little before, could be a little after, depending on how quick the JV game goes. That's when we're going to be on the air doing the game from Crestview High School tonight, as the Rebels take on the Brookfield Warriors in a MVAC gray tier matchup. And again, with the Trumbull County schools just starting their season, I think Brookfield has played 5 or 6 games, so they're starting to get them to get into the rhythm. And again, I mean, if you play your league games, and in the gray tier there's 7 teams, so 12 league games. You can't play each other, so you're playing the other 6 teams 2 times, 6 times 12 or 6 times 2, 12. My Leetonia education knows no boundaries. A little bit of Boardman in there as well. 3 years of Boardman. Anyway, 12 league games, and then you, however you want to do it. We've made mention of this ad nauseum. If you can get minimum 15 games, that's the perfect scenario. If you're somewhere between 15 and 18, if you're in Trumbull County or the 2 city series schools in the city, Cheney and East, if you can get your boys and girls program to play 15 to 18 basketball games between now and the rest of the regular season and get ready for the postseason, then I think you're in good shape. Some schools may very well wind up playing 22 games. I know I was talking via texting with Coach Dennis down in Leetonia, and he will finally have a healthy team on Friday. He finally gets Marco Ferri and Joey Guido back into the lineup. And for the first time all year, Leetonia is finally going to be healthy, which is just great news for the program. It looks like they're going to be playing, knock on wood, 10 games between now and the end of the month, which, okay. Let it roll. Let's see what we can do here. And they can get 10 games in the month of January and then get their rest of the games played, and somewhere between 14 and 22 games. Obviously, they've already played a number of non-conference games. So if you can get the entire EOAC league schedule, that's 14. So you figure Leetonia's already played, 3 non-conference games minimum. So you're looking at 17 games minimum. Look, if you can get within anywhere from 15 to 22 games, somewhere in between there, you're in good shape. You're going to be in good shape. All right, this morning, maybe an hour before the show, the Steelers announced that they had made some coaching changes. Mike Tomlin fires 3 assistant coaches today. Offensive coordinator Randy Finkner is out. So is the offensive line coach Sean Serrett and so is the defensive backs coach, Tom Bradley. All three given their walking papers. We mentioned this early in the show. It's going to happen. And I wouldn't read Finkner's departure into, well, that means that Ben's going to be gone. And then we're going to have, Mason Rudolph as our starting quarterback, and maybe the Steelers will go after another quarterback. I wouldn't read all of that into that decision. And honestly, I think that if the Steelers believe Mason Rudolph can provide the bridge between he and the new, quote, franchise quarterback, or maybe they believe Mason Rudolph is a franchise quarterback. I don't think he is. I think he's a serviceable quarterback in the NFL, but I don't think he's a franchise caliber quarterback. I don't think he's anywhere close to Baker Mayfield or Lamar Jackson at this point. And, the jury's still out on Joe Burrow, although I do think Burrow's going to be a pretty solid quarterback. And whether or not the Bengals finally get their head out of their backside and become a relevant organization, who knows? But, clearly this division has now gotten a whole lot better. And now you can officially say Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield, they have arrived. They're both franchise caliber quarterbacks. They have both won a playoff game. And they are not going to be leaving the scene anytime soon. What are they, both in their third year? You figure they're going to be there at least 2 more years. And there's a pretty good chance that they're going to be, doing some more years in Baltimore and Cleveland. So Pittsburgh is, they've had a great quarterback, and Ben Roethlisberger will take his place in Pittsburgh as one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever wear a Steelers uniform. And one would argue he was every bit as good as Bradshaw. Other people would say, well, the Steelers won 4 Super Bowls with Bradshaw. You only won half of that with Roethlisberger. Okay, it's a good argument. It's a good argument either way. The one thing you can argue is both of these guys, well, one's in the Hall of Fame, the other one's going to be in the Hall of Fame. No two ways about it. So next on the docket for the Steelers, trying to figure out, is Mason Rudolph the guy, or do they go in the draft and try to get some magic? We'll see. And look, Roethlisberger might have another year. The Steelers may just say, hey, Ben, we want you back. Then again, the Steelers may just have a private conversation, because nobody's gonna air him out and publicly say we're getting rid of Ben Roethlisberger. He's the respect factor is way too much. So I'm sure that the Steelers organization, if they have intentions of not wanting Ben back, they'll tell him and say, look, this is the direction we want to go in. So hopefully we can do this without either one of us sounding really disrespectful here. We want to do the right thing by you, but we want you to retire as a Steeler, and we have no intentions of bringing you back. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. We'll see. But 3 coaching changes for the Steelers, and again, Fichtner being out is the big one. Fichtner being out as the offensive coordinator, that's the big one. And Sean Sarrett, I feel for the guy. A lot of folks are saying, oh, this line's nowhere near as good as it was a couple of years ago. Well, of course it isn't, because you got 3 guys on your offensive line that are on the back end of career that they're no longer in their prime. Look, Villanueva and Pouncey and DeCastro, all 3 of them have been unbelievably talented offensive linemen for this team. They're not at that point anymore. Their better days are gone. This team has gotten old real quick. least on the offense, it's gotten old real quick. Defensively, I thought the Steelers did a really nice job of getting some youth. And the deal with Miami for Minkah Fitzpatrick's stroke of genius. And the Steelers don't normally do stuff like that, but it was a stroke of genius for the Steelers. And they've gotten this team a lot younger on defense. But offensively, this team is old. And they're old at key positions that, frankly, you better pull the trigger and make some changes here. And we'll see what happens. And, the bad thing with the Steelers, they're up against it in the salary cap. They don't have a lot of money to play with, and they're not going to have a very high draft pick because they finished 12-4. They won the North while they got knocked out in the first round. So how many teams went to the playoffs? 7, 14, 32, 18 teams that didn't go to the playoffs. You figure the Steelers are going to be drafting 24th? 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, they're going to probably be drafting 24th because they're a 12-4 team. They probably had the best record of the 6 teams that were eliminated. They're going to be drafting 24th. I mean, and that's a late first-round draft pick. I mean, it's not that they're not going to get a good player. It's just they're not going to get a top a top blue chip can't miss type of player. Very rarely do you see guys falling that far down. So and you combine that with the fact that the Steelers are up against it in the salary cap. This is going to be interesting. Be really interesting to see how this organization plays that one out. It will. I'll be curious because right now, in Steeler Nation, you're probably not used to hearing this one, but right now you're the third best team in this division. Right now, the 2 best teams in this division are Baltimore and Cleveland. In order, by the way. Baltimore and Cleveland are the 2 best teams in this division. Moving forward, they most definitely are the 2 best teams in this division. And that might be a tough pill to swallow, but it is what it is. Going into 2021 now. Obviously, when we get to the divisional playoffs Saturday and Sunday, and we'll see what happens. I'm very cautiously optimistic about my team. Honest to God, it's going to be. I have so much respect, as much respect for the Ravens as I did for the Colts. Surprisingly enough, I don't feel nearly as horrified at the matchup. Not to say that the Ravens can't beat the Bills, because I think they can. But I don't know. I don't know why I have a somewhat decent feeling about Saturday. Now, that doesn't mean anything, but I'm not nearly as uptight about this week's game as I was last week, because I honestly thought Indianapolis was going to bring it against Buffalo, and they should have beaten the Bills. They outplayed the Bills. They should have beaten them. But Buffalo found a way to get the job done. This week, I'm not nearly as uptight. Now, I do think that Baltimore has a really good chance at beating Buffalo, but I'll take my chances. It's going to snow in Orchard Park, and Lamar Jackson's never played in snow. I'll take my chances. I think this is going to be a fun game. I'll tell you this: it's going to be an overtime game. I think that this game screams overtime. I really do. I think this game screams overtime, and this might be the best game of the weekend, because I think the Packers will take care of the Rams, even though it's going to be a lower scoring game, because Aaron Donald is a freak, and Aaron Donald will will the Rams to be close, but I think in a low-scoring game, the Packers win. I would love to see the Browns beat the Chiefs. They're not going to. I'd love to see the Browns scare the bejeebers out of the Chiefs. That might happen. That very well might happen. The good news with the Browns, both Ward and Kevin Johnson are off the list, and they'll be back, the starting corners, and they're going to need them because Kansas City's just loaded. I mean, that's just, oh God, is that team good. And we'll see. It's going to be a dry track. It's going to be sunny in Kansas City on Sunday. At least the forecast as of now is saying that. Of course, it might change. But I think it'll be a competitive game. I think Kansas City wins. I think Kansas City wins the game by, 4 to 7 points. I think it will be a competitive game, but I don't think the Browns win. And I think arguably other than the Bills and Ravens, arguably the other game that's just got my attention, Tampa Bay and New Orleans. New Orleans has beaten Tampa Bay and embarrassed them the last time they played them. Brady's never lost to a team 3 times in 1 year before. And I don't know. I don't know how to read this game. I think the Tampa Bay has looked really good in the last few weeks, and Brady has found some kind of fountain of youth in the last few weeks. But I keep hearkening back to Tom Brady has been straight garbage against playoff caliber teams. 1-4 against teams that are still left in the postseason. 2 of those losses to New Orleans, and he didn't look good in either one of those games, especially the second game. Now, Brady always has that, okay, I'm going to show you. Last time you played me, I looked bad. Oh, let me show you how good I'm going to be this time around. He's always had that trait. That's why I'm kind of looking at this going, man, this could be good. And it's in the Superdome, and New Orleans has always been really, really tough to beat in the Superdome. I think this game, much like the Bills-Ravens, this game screams overtime as well. I think it's going to be a fun weekend. And I said this a few weeks ago. A lot of people thought I was nuts. I think this NFL season, okay, it's been COVID, and the fans, by and large, haven't shown up. I think this has been one of the great seasons in the National Football League. I really do. And it's not because my team finished 13-3. I really, really like what we've been seeing this year. And I think that the divisional playoffs, I don't think you're going to see a blowout in any of these games. I think it's going to be fun. I think all 8 teams are their fan bases are going to see some exciting football. But I think at the end of the day, Kansas City will be home in the AFC title game. Hopefully they play my Bills. And I think that New Orleans will be making a trip to Green Bay to take on the Packers at a frozen tundra of Lambeau. And look, I mean, if it's the Bills, if it's the Ravens playing the Chiefs, you're going to get a hell of an AFC championship game. And if it's New Orleans and Green Bay, you're going to get a hell of an NFC championship game. It'll be fun. All right, basketball on the network tonight. Girls hoops, varsity only. McDonald taking on Jackson Milton. That's a 5:30 start, varsity only. 6 o'clock, 2 quarters. Am I right with this? 2 quarters with the Leetonia Valley Christian game at Leetonia. The game is going to start at 6 o'clock. Apparently, the JV game is going to be 2 quarters. So Leetonia and Valley Christian will get underway somewhere in the vicinity of 6 o'clock. Springfield taking on Waterloo. That game is at Springfield, 6:30 start. South Range girls will head to Struthers to take on the Wildcats. That game is supposed to start somewhere in the vicinity of 6:45. That means the JVs are starting at 5:15. You know the drill. If the JV game goes long, chances are the game's going to start a little after 6:45. If the JV game goes quick, chances are the game's going to start before 6:45. Here are your 7 o'clock games on the network tonight. Again, JV game starting at 5:30. You know the drill. Somewhere around 7 o'clock. United is at Columbiana. Brookfield is at Crestview. Niles is at Girard. Newton Falls is at LeBray. Lakeview at Poland. Beaver Local will travel to Edison. And Sebring is at Western Reserve. And again, all of those games with a 7 o'clock varsity starts, and all of that is up in the air depending on how fast the JV game goes. All right, 330-886-0813. We'll take a timeout, be back in a bit. Stick around. More to come on this Thursday edition of Running Point.
21 News.
Let's get right to our top story tonight.
More experienced reporters.
A new Wilmington restaurant.
GM Lordstown.
Telling more local stories.
We'll look at efforts
Boy
to
is
curb
recovering from a broken
around our
Good
valley.
afternoon. We are here in Youngstown, right up.
Because you expect
Important for everyone. No place like home.
more local news.
In Mercer County Court.
Become life threatening.
21 News is our valley's #1 local news.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Welcome back to a Thursday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. You know, all of the sports at Youngstown State University are pretty much going to be starting up all at once. I got the notice from, since I do the tailgate show and the fifth quarter show with football, that we're going to be starting the football season here pretty soon. And they got me to thinking, we're going to be starting the baseball season pretty soon. So it's time we maybe get on the horn and talk with my good buddy, Dan Bertolini. So mission accomplished. The Skip joins us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Dan, how are you today, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's good to be on. That means baseball season's right around the corner.
Well, you ain't lying. Now, unfortunately, we thought maybe COVID would do a number on a couple of things, and well, unfortunately it has. For those that were hoping to do what has become a really cool tradition in Youngstown with the first pitch breakfast the week before you guys jump out on the road and begin your season, COVID kind of shut that one down, Skip.
Yeah, unfortunately, with everything going on, we just thought it was in the best interest just to take a break. We don't necessarily say shut it down, but we're taking a break from it this year, and it'll be back on for next year. But with things the way they are, and I'm sure it's not a huge surprise to a lot of people that we won't be doing it this year.
Okay, let me ask you, because I always love to hear what you guys were and always have in store during those first pitch breakfast, because you guys have brought in Johnny Bench, you've brought in Ferguson Jenkins, you've brought in some other Hall of Fame talents. Bill Buckner, God rest his soul, was here a year or so ago. Did you guys have a commitment from anyone before this was all canceled?
No, we didn't. We kind of had an idea. We had talked with a few people, but in the summer, but just as things progress throughout the fall, we usually kind of square our speakers away in like October, and just with the way things were going, we kind of had an idea that it wasn't going to happen. So we didn't really have anyone picked so far, but I know we've been in talks with, we're trying to get Dave Dravecki to come back and speak. I think, he's a guy that definitely would be interested in coming back, and hopefully we can get him to come back and speak for the Valley.
Yeah, what a tremendous story he has, too. He made it to the major leagues and, unfortunately had that god-awful injury, came back from that injury, was pitching at a pretty good level, and then the same damn thing happened, and he's had some issues, but what a tremendous testimony this guy has as well.
Yeah, he's a fantastic guy, great representative of our program, and so hopefully at some point we'll get him back to speak.
Dan, you've also had some changes in the scheduling as well. Talk a little bit about what's going on in terms of how you guys are going to open up the season, and what are some of the protocols there?
Yeah, so it was a real roller coaster of events, probably from November-ish till now. Just there were some leagues that came out and canceled, and then they've changed, and you saw different conferences kind of deciding what they were going to do. I think the Big Ten was one of the first ones to come out and say they were going to play conference only. We were very fortunate. I thought our Horizon League and Ron Strolla, they did a great job with really taking their time and making sure they're doing what's best for our student athletes. And so we're able to play. We're going to be able to play a full season. We open up at Troy on February 19th. Our second weekend is at Mississippi State. And then they changed our conference schedule to a 40-game conference schedule. So we will play all weekend games, no midweeks this year. And we will play from March 5th until the end of the season. And we play 10 weeks in a 12-week schedule, so we have 2 bye weeks. We're in the process of filling those bye weeks. But we should be able to get close to 56 games in, and I'm just really happy for our guys after what they went through last year, and now getting a chance to hopefully play a full season. So that's exciting, and we're looking forward to the season starting only a few weeks away.
Yeah, and for everyone not familiar with Troy, that's down in Alabama. Am I correct on that, Skip?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a beautiful facility. They got a great program. It'll be an awesome experience for our players and get a chance to go against a good team in week 1.
Yeah, and I believe they're in the Sun Belt Conference, and then you have Mississippi State out of the very ultra-competitive Southeastern Conference, and you go down to the middle part of the great state of Mississippi. Warm weather, at least, knock on wood, we're going to get some warm weather in Alabama and Mississippi for those 2 weekends, and then we're right at it for conference play.
Yeah, we open up this year at IPFW, which is our first. That'll be their first game in the Horizon League. So we'll open up at their place, and then I think the following weekend we have a bye week, so we're filling that, and then we go from there. So it'll start early. It's good. We play all 4-game weekends, so a little bit different than we've done in the past. We play all 4-game weekends with a single on Friday, doubleheader on Saturday, and a single game on Sunday.
To refresh everyone's memory, in a 12-team league in the Horizon League, how many of the 12 teams have baseball on the docket?
So we have 7. So Wright State, Northern Kentucky, University of Illinois Chicago. We have Northern Kentucky, IPFW, and Milwaukee, and us.
Okay, 40 games. Now, that's spread out to 6 teams. Obviously, some teams are going to be playing more than 6 times, and others will be just playing 6 times. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, that's correct. So we have it's an unbalanced schedule, and I know we always talk about having competitive balance, and it was a big point of emphasis in years past for trying to play a balanced schedule with playing everyone the same amount of time, so there's no discrepancies when you get to the end of the year. But with COVID and everything else that's happened, a lot of us are just really excited that we get a chance to do this. So, we'll make do with whatever we have, and we're just happy to be able to play.
Dan Bertolini, the skip, the manager. I hate saying the word head coach because that's not the proper lingo in baseball. But he runs the show at Youngstown State University. Dan, you had these kids come back after Christmas break and whatnot. Were you pleased with how everyone was kept in shape and how everyone has gotten after it in the off season?
Boy, it's been tough because. Depending on which state you're coming from, some of our guys from Pennsylvania, they have to quarantine. So, there was some definite lack of training because, you've trained all winter and then you come back and you have to quarantine for, 7 or 10 or 14 days, whatever that may be. So you lose a little bit when you're there. But I'm really happy that, I think our guys did a great job. They do, we have, like I said before, we have an older group. These guys have been through this. So they worked hard over the off season, and we're in a good spot right now. We started individuals this week, and the guys are doing really well. We're already at our first bullpen started yesterday, and another group of guys will be throwing today. So we're right there, ready to go. I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm just happy to see these guys. A lot of Zoom meetings we've had, and we're just happy to be able to be around each other and get a chance to watch these guys perform.
How important for you guys and for the program is the Watts Center? I know it's that absolutely gorgeous facility that's the crown jewel of the YSU athletic department. But how important is that facility for your baseball program?
Yeah, and it's huge. We're able to utilize. We've been able to get out on the new Cafaro turf field that's all over across from Ursuline. So we've been able to get outside a little bit, but for convenience, for weather, I mean, it's a huge advantage for us to have that, and we're able to get everything we really need to get done. I know it's been difficult sometimes. You have to share the facility with everyone else that's participating right now, and especially this year with all of our sports, all of our sports playing in the spring. It's been a little tricky, but for the most part, we've been able to get everything we need to get done in, and we're very thankful and fortunate that we have this facility.
Yeah, how important is it with the SIDs? And I know everyone loves to they love contributing, and when I was doing games for you guys last year, albeit the very shortened season, Dre was just unbelievable doing the game notes, and he works in the SID department while he's also doing YSU women's basketball. So, the women's basketball season might still be going on while the baseball season's still going on. So the YSU women's broadcaster, oh, by the way, you got to do game notes for the baseball team on top of what you're doing. It can be a little tricky.
I don't know how Dre does it. He is beyond anything that we could ever want for a sports information director. Like he works tirelessly. He's always coming up with good ideas. He's got about 52 different hats that he has to wear, different jobs, things that he has to do, and he does those game notes are probably the best game notes in the country. Like, they are incredible what he does. Prepares our guys. There's things I don't even know that he knows. So, it's going to be incredibly difficult for all of our sports information and all of our personnel here on campus. Just with multiple events going on, you have football, you have basketball, you're going to have soccer, volleyball, baseball, softball, lacrosse, track, all going on at the same time. We just appreciate all the hard work that everyone's going to have to put in and has put in so far this year.
And the really interesting thing is all of those sports that you just mentioned, Youngstown State could have just an unbelievable rock star type of year. The men's and women's program, they're off to some slow starts, but they're going to get better sooner or later. The YSU football team, the new coaching staff, there's plenty of toys in that cupboard. That cupboard ain't bare. And then you got the track program, which has been a stellar. You've got the softball program, which was having an unbelievable year prior to COVID shutting everyone down. You guys were playing some solid baseball before COVID shut it down. Is there a sense where all of the student athletes are going to pretty much be feeding off each other, and we'll have success times infinity at YSU this spring?
Boy, if you love college athletics, this is a great time to be part of the Horizon League because there's a lot going on, and a great time to be part of Youngstown State because I think, we're kind of hitting our stride as an athletic department. I think everyone's really been hitting on full cylinders. I got a chance to watch Coach Calhoun and the Penguins beat Wright State on that great last play. It was an exciting game. There's a lot going on here, and I know Coach Phillips with football. I'm excited to get to see what him and his staff are able to do. They've been fantastic since day one, so I'm excited to see them perform. And the rest of the sports, they've all had their successes, and we're excited to see what they can do. And hopefully our athletes can feed off of each other, and we can have a super successful spring semester.
Well, the season can't get here fast enough as far as I'm concerned. Not that I want to, speed it up and say, hey, give me the plane ticket to Alabama and Mississippi, but, I want to get out of the cold, Skip.
Well, I can't. It really can't get here any quicker. I don't mind it if it slows down just a little bit because we got some work to do, and there's a lot of days to get what we need to get done in. But once that day one comes, once February 19th comes, it goes by in the blink of an eye. So I'll look forward. It's been a lot of waiting since March, a lot of hard work that we've put in through the summer and through this year, just trying to get our guys prepared and have a season. So I know our players feel fortunate that we're able to do this all again because we pretty much have our entire team back from last year, with the exception of a couple guys and added a few new ones. So I know they're all excited to get out there and start playing again.
With that being said, and we're speaking with Dan Bertolini, he's the manager of the YSU baseball team, and he joins me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. A lot of guys coming back. And again, 14 games, 7 wins, 7 losses, then COVID took over. Do you have a really good idea of what your lineup is going to be consistently and where your starters are going to be on the mound and who's going to be coming out of the bullpen? Do you have an idea where it's to the point where there's not a whole lot of opportunities open in terms of starting jobs?
Yeah, I'd say a lot of our positions we feel, really strong about, just guys that have been here, played. We know what they're capable of. There's always a few question marks, and some guys surprise you here in the next, 5 weeks before the season starts. Just like, as baseball, it's a sometimes who's hot kind of deal. So we have a lot of talent. We have depth. There's a lot of guys that can mix into the starting lineup, but you feel really good with Blaze Glenn coming back, being a fifth-year senior, and Phil Glasser's been our starting shortstop for 3 years. Jeff Whaler's been a guy that's been in our lineup for seems like ever. Steve DeSanio had a fantastic start to last year. I think he was newcomer of the year for D1 baseball. Don Bucco and Luke Nassani, those two guys are staples. I say there's, left field's probably still kind of a work in progress. Turner had a great start to last year. Andre Good's been a guy that's swung the bat really well. Blake Benio's been another guy that's had a great fall that could mix in there as well. There's a few spots that can still, I think we have some depth in the middle infield. But on the pitching side, our pitching is old and deep. Colin Clark and Colin Floyd are going to be staples in our rotation. They had, fantastic starts to last year with John Snyder and Travis Perry, probably the other two guys mixing into those kind of rotation spots. And then the back end is pretty solid. You're going to have Joel Hake, who's a fifth-year senior or sixth-year senior. Gary Cliff is a sixth-year senior. Chad Coles, who threw a ton for us last year. Dalton, Eric. So, we have a really strong back end of the bullpen, and then there's some guys that are going to mix into that bullpen / other rotational starter. as well as I didn't mention our catchers, but I think we have a really great catching group with Nick Caruso, who's one of the leaders of our team. He's a sixth-year senior, as well as Dylan Schwarmer and Dylan Carpenter. So I think we're really set. We don't have that many extra position players, and we don't have, we have probably 20 to 21 pitchers. So we feel good with where we're at.
Let me ask you, I mean, there's 7 teams in the Horizon League. When the media and everyone decides to vote on the preseason standings, preseason favorite and whatnot, where do you expect YSU to be?
Well, I think one of the publications had us ranked preseason 3rd, Collegiate Baseball Newspaper. But, for me, like, that means a whole hill of beans. I don't really put any stock into it. I mean, on paper, we have a lot of guys returning. We should have and we had a good start to the year. I feel like there'll be some teams that feel that we should be good, but the only thing that matters is, and I know it sounds cliche, but the only thing that matters is one day at a time. Like, we can't be really too concerned with what's going on from other people or what other coaches think or other people think. Like, we know what we're capable of, and we pick ourselves to win the Horizon League. So that's really all that matters.
Hey, Skip, always a pleasure. And like I said, the opening day can't get here fast enough. Although you guys got a lot of work to do. Listen, I just want to get out of the cold and get into some nice warm weather. I mean, I'm selfish that way. So
yeah, I know. You're gonna have a dog fight with DJ and Steve.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I might have to, just lay a guilt trip on a couple of these guys. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, hey, a pleasure talking with you. Hopefully we'll continue to talk. We'll pick a day and we can talk Penguins baseball.
There you go. Always a pleasure, Skip.
All right. Talk to you soon.
See ya. Dan Bertolini, he is the manager of the YSU baseball program, and he joins me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline. Yeah, I'm going to have to blackmail some people. I mean, come on. Seriously? I mean, I've been there, done that. I've done this stuff. This ain't my first rodeo doing baseball. Come on, put me in, coach. I'm ready to announce. It doesn't flow as John Fogerty would sing in center field. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. Yeah, it doesn't flow when you go, put me in, coach. I'm ready to announce. No, it doesn't flow that way. All right, 330-886-0813. We're back in a bit. It's a Thursday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years. I think whenever we go there, whatever car we're looking for, they have tremendous inventory.
If you're looking for people who care about you, Greenwood is the place to go.
It's like family there. The girls know me in service. It's Miss Kim in the Tahoe.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Local teams are heating up the hardwoods, and you can keep up with all the action on and off the court with Five Guys Hoop News all season long on 21 Sports.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Thank you very much. The voice of Fast Freddy. God, I miss working with him. Man, he was a trip. He was a trip. I'd go into the Wolf Studios when my show was over, and his show was just starting at the Wolf, and he would obviously was on 3 to 6 for years and years and years, and when I was done, I'd peek my head in. Now, back then, the Browns were god-awful. And then he would be, what do you think the Browns are going to do? And we would just have a grand old time just laughing and hooting and hollering in the studios. God, I miss working with Fast Freddy. He's a good dude. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, open for business. With you for another 40 minutes or so. DJ and the boys will take you through the 3 o'clock hour as they will have a Thursday edition of Power Hour. Urban Meyer is going to be named the new head football coach with the Jacksonville Jaguars. That announcement is going to be made relatively quick, from what I understand. He is in Jacksonville as we speak. And this could be one of those situations where he signs the deal. They have a press conference later in the day. Urban Meyer is going to be the head football coach at Jacksonville. And I made mention of this earlier on. Number one, I knew that Urban Meyer was not going to be officially done with football. That just was not going to happen. He was going to coach again. I knew it was going to happen. Now, my thought was he was going to stay in college football. He was going to stay in the college game, and he'd take over at USC or Texas or one of those blue blood schools and get him another blue blood type of school where they're going to do well. But he goes to Jacksonville. Rumor has it he's going to get paid about $10 million a year to be the head coach in Jacksonville. And make no mistake about this. He's there because the Jags have the first pick overall, and he is going to take Mr. Lawrence, and we'll see what Jacksonville does with the Jeff Spicoli lookalike when he's drafted first in the NFL draft. Let's go to Emmanuel. You're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What up, brother?
How you doing, my brother?
I'm good, man.
I'm listening to your show, and you just don't know. When you came out with the announcement, and you had Coach on the line, you don't know how many people's jaw dropped with the announcement and to hear him back on the radio. And I understand people talk about a comeback story or redemption. I understand that all that's good, but man, I cannot wait to see him bring Valley Christian into Malakoff to play JFK. I want to see him on the sidelines. I can't wait to see Boardman's new head coach come over to the Malakoff. I think Malakoff is smiling right now. I just think it's great. Go ahead, Ronnie.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully Valley Christian and JFK play each other in non-conference football, because I'd love to see that. I know that Dom Prologo did an amazing job his first year as the head coach at Warren JFK. Got the team to the state championship game. They're losing some guys, but there's still plenty of toys in the closet, plenty of food in the cupboard. There's an awful lot of talent coming back, and I know that Coach Hake he's going to coach all of those kids that are going to be going out for football at Valley Christian. He's going to coach them up, and I don't know how quick the turnaround is going to take, but I know it's going to be a turnaround because I know how good of a coach Andy Hake is, and I don't know how quick the turnaround is going to be in Boardman, but I know it's going to be a turnaround because Seth Antrim is really good at what he does, and he's young, and I think that this was a home run for Boardman as well. I think both Boardman and Valley Christian, and I even think Champion did well with their decision in bringing in their new head coach. I think that all three, Tom Conrad going to Champion, I think all three schools are to be really, really proud of the talent, the coaching talent that they brought into their respective schools.
And, I got to throw in Austintown Fitch, man. We got a lot of young, good coaches, new good coaches.
Yeah, we sure do. And joining the new guard with the old guard, and it's look, the one thing that this area hangs its hat on, not just in football but in all sports, we have some really good coaches in this area. In every sport, we have some really, really good coaches.
Ronnie, and I listen to people talk, because I don't know everything. I just have my opinion, and I'm not the brightest bulb in the house, but I believe I can still shine a little bit of light, a little bit. But what people don't understand when it comes to Pittsburgh Steelers, let's get a little bit deep out here in the water, okay? Now, as far as the coaches goes, when you get hired on a Tomlin staff, you get a 2-year contract. That's your first 2 years. After that, every year you go on a 1-year contract. So with that being said, then you have to always be on top of your game and mission first. And that's just the bottom line. And we also look at the fact that nobody's talking, are we going to be able to sign Juju? And do we sign him because, those guys behind him are pretty doggone good too. Claypool in the game. Do we sign him? And when it comes roster time, if Big Ben, if his name is on that roster, he gets $15 million just for being on that roster. Now, if his name is not on that roster, if the Steelers want to, they can take $15 million back because of the signing bonus. So now, if he's on the roster and he gets that $15 million, and you cut him, I think our roster hit is like $34, $36 million. Now, if we don't cut him, then he gets what? 29, 30 million this year? I don't think he's a $30 million quarterback. And so maybe, we're going to take a hit anyway. And the only way we can keep him, he takes a discount, and this is a signing bonus and extends out, and he's not going to be playing that long. But the bottom line is this. We have to spread around what we need. We need offensive line help, including the offensive line coach. We need running back help. And we also need to change the way we were doing things. When Mike Tomlin got hired, they asked him, what is your philosophy? What are you going to do as a head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers? And he said it nice and simple. He said, we're going to run the ball and we're going to stop the run. If you don't believe me, just go back there. It's on the video.
No, I remember him saying that. Absolutely.
So somehow we went from that to throwing the ball 52 times a game. It can't go on like this. And if it does, I think Tomlin will step down himself. He's not going to go for it. So we have to bring somebody in that has somewhat of a balance. And we're going to have to rip this Band-Aid off. And the way to think about how valuable your quarterback is if you let him go. When you talking about if you let him go, who can replace him? My question is, if you let him go, who would pick him up? Who do you think would pick up Ben if you let him go?
Well, that shouldn't be your concern, because if you let Ben go, you're at best you're a 500 team with no chance at a postseason. We've seen this act, and I know how this act ends.
No, Ron, you're missing the point. We are not the Cleveland Browns, and I hate to, and I'm gonna tell you this too. We are not the Buffalo Bills. Making the playoffs is not just our mission, and we didn't win this year. We may not win next year, but the goal every year in every game, even when we were winning, when we were 11-0, and I was complaining, it's not whether you win or lose, Ron. It's how you play the game, because eventually how you play the game is going to show up.
Well, yeah, you're going to get exposed sooner or later, and the Steelers did get exposed. But, I'm going to say something you're not going to be too happy with, but here it is. You're on the downside of I don't want to say a rebuild, because the Steelers don't completely rebuild, because the organization is solid enough and has been solid enough for quite some time that you don't do a complete rebuild where it would take 3+ years to get back to prominence. But make no mistake about it, as of right now, the Steelers are the third best team in the AFC North. And as of right now, you're still comfortably ahead of Cincinnati, but if Cincinnati ever got their head out of their backside and actually did some things that made sense, other than the Burrow thing, which was a slam dunk, the Steelers could be dangerously close to being in the basement in 2021. You're not at Buffalo, or not at Baltimore or Cleveland's area right now, because both teams are younger. They're better in a lot of different positions, and they're just going to get after it, at least for 2021. You'll take a step back, and once you get everything straightened out, the Steelers will get back to where they are. But right now, you're the third best team in this division.
Okay, with that being said, which I totally agree, because we lost 5 of the last 6 games we played. Now, I would rather, if you lose 5 of the first 6 games you played in the beginning of the season, you might lose a coach. But if you win 11 straight, you keep a coach. But if you lose 5 of the last 6 games you play, I don't care what league you in. That's not good looking forward. So if all this is being said, why do we still need to keep Ben?
Because if you don't keep Ben, you saw what this brings to the table. You saw last year what the Steelers are like, life without Ben Roethlisberger, if you don't have a capable replacement. And look, whether or not, good Lord, the name just blew right out of my mind. The kid from Oklahoma State.
Or Dobbs,
Rudolph.
Or what?
Dobbs is garbage. Mason Rudolph is the guy.
Come on, there you go again.
Dobbs is garbage. He's not an NFL caliber quarterback. He's garbage. Mason Rudolph is the closest thing that you have to an NFL caliber quarterback.
Excuse me, Ron. Ron, let me say this, Ron. It's really hard listening to you all the time, because you be right so much it's starting to upset me. You said way back when Myers left Ohio State, you said he'll be back. And everybody said his health wouldn't work, he's too old, he needs it, and you said he'll be back. And you called that. Now go ahead.
Well, look, I thought that he would be in college football. I didn't think that anybody in the NFL would be hiring this guy, but whatever. No, I mean, if Mason Rudolph takes a gigantic step forward and he becomes the answer, okay, now you really have an opportunity as early as next year to loosen and to narrow that gap that Cleveland and Baltimore right now have over the Steelers. But there's so much work to be done in the offseason. Now, the good news for the Steelers, you have no work to be done on defense. Defensively, get everyone healthy. You got a good defense when everyone is healthy. You're in good shape there.
Well, we could get a little bit better in the secondary. We had 2 good players back there.
Yeah, but
go ahead.
That's not the biggest urgency that you have right now. The biggest urgency you have right now, you don't have a running game, and I think that one goes with the other. I think because your offensive line you got 3/5 of your offensive line and guys that are past their prime and at some point in time are going to need to be replaced, your running game might be the subject of a below-average offensive line now. But you got to take care of your offensive line. You got to get a running back. You got to get a wide receiver if you decide that Juju Smith-Schuster isn't the guy. And by the way, I would run, not walk, run away from that guy based on the knuckleheadedness that he had toward the end of last year or this past year for the Steelers. I think that some of this stuff, and I'm going to blame Tomlin for some of this, he should have sat Juju down and said, I don't want to see you do any more of this crap. This dancing on the logos, this is garbage. And shut your pie hole when it comes to games before a big game. I don't want you talking. I don't want you doing any of this garbage.
But in Tomlin's defense, he tried that with Antonio. He tried that with Le'Veon. He tried that with Mike Wallace. These guys ain't going to listen. But go ahead.
Listen, Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster is a nobody compared to Antonio Brown. He doesn't have that cachet. He ain't the scab on Antonio Brown's backside. Like that.
And Antonio started like that.
No,
but Juju's not as good as Antonio.
I get that. Juju Smith-Schuster's not the scab on Antonio Brown's backside. Let's be honest. It ain't even close when those two guys comparing their careers. It ain't even close. Look, I like Juju as long as he keeps his mouth shut and he doesn't do anything stupid. He's a good number 2 receiver. As far as him being a number 1, I don't think he's a number 1 receiver. I think he's a good second banana.
I don't know if Johnson's a number 1, but I like Claypool. I like him. I really do like him. I like him.
I like Claypool a lot too. But again, shut your pie hole. You got your ass kicked by Cleveland. Why in the world would you say anything so stupid as to, we lost, but they're going to get clapped this weekend. And this is a team that just destroyed you guys. Shut your pie hole, take the loss, and get better and just go to work and don't say anything stupid in 2021. I was so disappointed in Claypool when he did that, when he pulled that stunt.
Well, you can understand. You can understand as being a Buffalo fan when they were a year ahead. When you go young and the young guys read the clippings, they don't sometimes. So I'll give him a pass because he's young on this one.
Well, and hopefully Tomlin sits him down in the offseason or when he comes to Latrobe next summer and he sits him down and says, look, especially if they believe Claypool's a number 1 receiver. And by the way, I think he does have number 1 receiver talent. And maybe this is the pro Notre Dame guy in me, but Claypool,
I'm going to tell you something about Claypool. Now, Claypool can dunk a ball. That means he can jump 10 feet 2 inches. If he's being guarded by a defensive back who's 5'11" and can't jump that high, you put that ball 10 feet up in the air, Claypool's the only person who can go get it. I can't believe Ben missed him in that game. He was there. How do you overthrow him, man? He's like doing Michael Jordan, and he overthrew him. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, listen, Claypool has the makings of a number 1 receiver. And Deontay Johnson, if you get some glue on his hands, he could be a pretty solid number 2 guy. But look, it's you work on the offense and fill in some holes. And the key in all of this, if they say goodbye to Ben, and I don't think they're going to, but if they say goodbye to Ben, Mason Rudolph, let me put it to you this way, Emmanuel. If the Steelers are comfortable by telling Ben in private, we are going to go in the 2021 season without you, then that tells me that they believe Mason Rudolph has taken the jump to where he can be an effective starting quarterback.
Or somebody's out there that's going to be free.
Well,
they might want to jump on.
Okay, now here's and follow me on this one. Here's an interesting guy in Detroit who would be an outstanding bridge to the next great quarterback. If you guys were so willing to make a deal with Detroit for Matt Stafford, if the Steelers walked away from Roethlisberger and you wanted to do something in that nature, that's not out of the realm of possibility. The one guy that I can tell you right now, without any question, that's going to stay in New York is Sam Darnold. Now, the other guy that I think of, but he's a China doll, but if you got him out of the eastern side of Pennsylvania and put him into western Pennsylvania, you put Carson Wentz in Pittsburgh and you give him a shot of confidence, that's not a bad get. It's not a bad get.
Well, there is somebody I think would fit better. I don't really like the guy, but I think he would fit pretty good. The backup out there for the Raiders, Marcus Mariota. I think that'd be a good fit.
Mason Rudolph is better than Marcus Mariota. I will flat out say that right now. Mason Rudolph is a better quarterback than Marcus Mariota. I don't like Mariota's game. When I saw Mariota, when if you remember back when Mariota and Jameis Winston were both drafted, and I cringed at when someone said they were franchise quarterbacks. I was like, hell no, they're not franchise quarterbacks. Neither one of them are going to amount to a hill of beans in the NFL, because both of them will find out pretty quickly how fast the NFL is, and I don't think either one of them were talented enough to be franchise quarterbacks. And as it turns out, Jameis Winston is hanging on to his NFL career by a thread.
Don't want him.
And Mariota couldn't even beat out Derek Carr in Oakland / Las Vegas. So.
Okay, well, and one more thing. I thought about you 2 days ago. I'm watching the Cavaliers, and I watched JaVale McGee go to the basket and did the finger roll. That was sweet. Did you see that?
Oh, my Lord.
That was sweet.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
But, the Cavs, they're going to be all right now. My team, like the Sixers, right? And I'm not happy with them, but I realized one thing. We needed a coach. I mean, because you look at Simmons and Embiid, and we thought they couldn't play together, but with the right coach, they can play together. And I see how come they made the trade to Miami, even though I still think Miami got the best of that deal. But if we can get rid of Tobias Harris, and if Green can be consistent. But then the East has gotten so much better, man. Harden came. Was Harden playing with KD?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, Kyrie in the last 15, 20 minutes, news broke that Kyrie Irving is now reporting back to the Brooklyn Nets. Gee, I wonder why. Maybe.
Well, wait a minute. 2 hours ago he retired.
Yeah. Well, listen. I thought he was going to jump off a cliff, but he's a flat earther guy, so I don't think he thinks cliffs are available. So I don't know what the hell he's thinking. Like I said, he's a couple of fries short of a supersize. That's all I'm going to say. But he's a hell of a basketball player. There's no two ways about it. He can ball. And look. The idea of Harden, Irving, and KD together, there's only one basketball, and I'll just leave it at that. There is only one basketball that is used in a game, and I don't know that Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving can exist as a team with one basketball. I don't think this is going to work. I think this has got disaster written all over it. And the great thing about this is, Emmanuel, it's going to be happening in the largest city in America, New York City. Okay, Brooklyn is the furthest borough away from Manhattan, but still, this is going to be must-see TV if Brooklyn doesn't play to their capability, and the three of them don't get on the same page. The New York writers will have a field day covering this team.
My brother. Well, thanks for taking my call, man. I'll talk to you later.
Man, see ya. I count me in as someone that doesn't think this is going to work. And I understand that Harden and Kevin Durant were teammates before at Oklahoma City. I get it. I understand that. And it's interesting into the point where Westbrook was also a teammate of Durant and Harden's in Oklahoma City. Why they broke that up is beyond me. I mean, that was just ignorance personified. But they were kids, and they weren't superstars yet. You now have 3 legitimate superstars. All three of these guys have become top 2, top 3 in their position. They're all three superstars. If you were to sit back and have the top 15 players in the NBA, when healthy, all three of these guys are in the top 15. Now, Irving is probably 14th or 15th. But when Kyrie Irving is sane and engaged, not ring on the finger, I'm talking basketball, ready to play basketball and not off into cuckoo land somewhere. When Kyrie Irving is engaged, this guy can play. He is ridiculously talented. When James Harden wants to play, he's crazy good. When Kevin Durant wants to play, he is top 5, top 4 in the NBA. All three of these guys are top 15 when they're engaged, when they're ready to play. And maybe, just maybe, you'll have a nice little short honeymoon period. All three of these guys are going to be like, oh, it's going to be a blast. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then at the end of the day, I'm going to call this right now. This is not going to work. This ain't working. I don't even expect the Brooklyn Nets to get out of the East this year. That's how much I think this is not going to work. I think Philadelphia, Boston, and Milwaukee all have a better chance at coming out of the East than the Brooklyn Nets do. Because I don't think that you can have one basketball and have Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant all trying to share equal time of shooting that one basketball. It ain't going to happen. It just ain't going to happen. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. One of the great things, one of the reasons why it worked in Cleveland when you had the ball dominance of LeBron and Kevin Love was able to sit back and go, you know what, I'm going to play third wheel here. Okay, I on a given night, I can go 20-20 on a given night. Hell, I've done 30-30 before. But on a given night, I can do 20-20 and do that for a while. But I'm going to play third wheel, much like Bosch did when LeBron was in Miami with D-Wade. Love played third wheel, played it impeccably. And then you got Irving, who wasn't a superstar back then. Kyrie Irving was an up-and-coming player. He wasn't no damn superstar back then. He was a second banana to LeBron. And he's always going to be a second banana to LeBron because he doesn't have LeBron's game. But he wasn't a superstar back then. Cleveland was able to win a championship because Love sacrificed and went, I'll play third wheel. There is not one person in the triangle of Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving, not one of them will sit back and say, I'll play third wheel. Not one of them, because they're all egos. They're all narcissists. All three of them are. There's not one of those three guys that are going to sit back and go, you know what, guy, I'm going to be real happy playing the third wheel, and I'm going to be the guy that's going to be the third option here. None of these guys will do that. That's why it's not going to work. That's why Brooklyn's not going anywhere. Because you have great talent. This ain't going to mesh on. It looks good on paper. It sure as hell ain't going to work. And the New York media is going to love watching this disintegration. They're going to love it. Because I think everyone should know this by now. The media loves to be right there when stuff doesn't go right. When an organization kind of sort of implodes, the media loves that stuff. It makes for great talk radio. It makes for great sports talk in general. And it surely writes its own story. That's why the media loves that kind of stuff. Because it writes its own material. Right, okay. You championship team, that stuff writes its own material. You get a clubhouse like in the mid-'90s with the Indians. Now, they never won a World Series title. And I used to cover the Indians. Now, it wasn't every day. I've never covered the Indians every day. But it was 5-10 times a year. 81 home games, so about an eighth of a year. That's stuff that wrote its own material. I mean, you had guys, you had personalities, and baseball's a little bit different because it's a day in, day out grind, where basketball, not necessarily so. Football, it's once a week. Hockey, like basketball, it's not a day in, day out grind in terms of games. It is in terms of practice, but not in games. If you have a championship caliber team, oh man, you have stuff that writes its own stuff out. If you're in the print media, covering a championship team's the easiest thing to do. And I'll tell you what else is easy to do. Covering a team that friggin' implodes. That's the easiest thing to do because it writes its own stuff. That's why everyone in the New York media, whether it's the Post, the Daily News, the Times, what's the other one? I'm missing one. New York Post, New York Times, New York Daily News, and I know I'm missing another one. Anyway, that's what writes the stuff. Yeah, a team that implodes or a championship caliber team, easiest thing to do. Easiest job in the world as a journalist, as a person who covers the team for radio and TV or this genre. Easiest thing in the world to do. Covering a championship team or covering a team that implodes, because the stories are right there. It's like fruit that's hanging and you don't have to stretch your arm out. You're grabbing all this fruit and saying, oh, okay, I got oranges and apples, a month of Sundays worth of oranges and apples here. It's low-hanging fruit. That's exactly what covering a championship and a team that's imploding, it's the easiest thing to do. The hardest thing to do is to cover a team that nobody's interested in, that's 500, that's ho-hum, that's bland, that's got a bunch of milquetoast guys that aren't willing to say anything stupid. That's the hardest thing to do. It really is. And even as a broadcaster, and you're trying to get everyone to do, always had a pregame show, 15, 20 minutes. In any baseball broadcast or whatever sport. You always have an extended pregame show. And part of the pregame show, you want to interview a player. You always want to interview the manager, dugout interviews, or you want to interview the coach. And there's some other stuff. And when I was doing baseball, I would always have as many of the kids on as humanly possible. And I'd have the coaches, and I'd have members of the organization. And if the general manager or the scouting director or the farm director, anyone of the major league roster was in town, I'd always want to have them on at least once. Do you know how tough it is to try to get some information out of someone who doesn't really like to talk? Broadcasters who get people like that and do some kind of an interview that sounds halfway decent, pay those people. Pay those people. They're worth something. Because I'm going to tell you from firsthand experience, if you have a team and the team doesn't like to talk a lot and they're like a 500 team, it's it is the single most boring team to cover. It's like pulling teeth. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I will certainly not have anyone pulling out a violin because it's fun and it ain't work. Trust me on this. It's not work. Anyone that has done this for a living will tell you it ain't work. When you love something, it's not work. When I covered the Cavaliers during the last 2 years of the run after the championship, and God bless the Cavs organization, they let me to go to any game I wanted to. Mainly because I was working in the Youngstown home of the Cavaliers. And I would take advantage of that as much as humanly possible. And I had fun. I had a blast with this team. I had a great time with this team. And then people were like, oh, man, you're really working hard. Shit, that's not work. This ain't asking someone a question after a game. That ain't work. That ain't work. I'm having a blast watching the game, taking a little bit of notes, and then at the end of the game, okay, I'm gonna ask a question that if someone else isn't asking, I'm gonna ask the question. None of that's work. But covering a team that's 500, that's and boring, that sucks. It's still fun. It's not work. and I'm still seeing a great product. I mean, at least I'm seeing a professional product on the field. But in comparison to watching a team implode where all of the stuff writes itself, or watching a championship team with a lot of guys that love to do this, oh, give me that any day of the week. And the folks in New York that are sitting back and saying, well, the Brooklyn Nets, they're going to be the NBA champs. They're not even getting out of the East. There's my hot take of hot takes. And it's obviously this is nowhere near Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn Nets are not even getting out of the East this year because this ain't going to work. Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant, and there's one basketball. Yeah, the stories are going to write itself. The journalists and the members of the media in New York are going to eat that up. They are going to have a blast covering the meltdown and the disintegration of this team. Because I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't going to work. All right, we're going to take a timeout. Back in a bit. Stick around.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford and drive home in a new or pre-owned vehicle. Choose from our great selection of new Ford models or pre-owned vehicles. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristатeford.net.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience and comprehensive wealth strategy, we assist our clients attain their goals. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit wrswealthadvisors.com. Good luck, athletes!
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy-efficient experts.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Welcome back as we close up shop on this Thursday edition of Running Points, courtesy of Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Chase Claypool just cannot shut his mouth. Oh, God. He was interviewed in Canada a day or so ago, and this just came out. Quoting Chase Claypool, "If the Browns had won with more class, then I wouldn't have been so salty." Chase, please, just stop. Just stop. Okay, if the Browns are classless, use that as kind of a springboard for you to take it out on them in 2021. But when you start talking crap after you got your ass kicked, it doesn't look good. Trust me on this. Now, listen, I'm younger days, guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. Bills lose a game against the Giants in Super Bowl 25, and I still said that the Bills were the better team. Kind of a stupid thing to say, because they weren't. They lost. So from a non-athlete, but someone who loves to talk, to a world-class athlete, let me give you some advice, young man. Stop talking. Stop talking. Get bigger, get stronger, and get after it in 2021. But for the love of God, stop talking. You shouldn't have anything to say now. You lost. You lost big. Stop talking. All right? That'll do it for the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks to Dre Smith. Thanks to Dan Bertolini for jumping on board. And many thanks to all the fine sponsors. Without that sponsorship, this would not be possible. Many, many thanks to Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown, the title sponsor of Running Point. Many thanks to the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning folks. Providing the hotline. That'll do it for the show. Thanks for tuning in. DJ and the fellas coming up next. It's Power Hour coming up momentarily. See you tonight. Crestview High School. Rebels taking on Brookfield in girls basketball. We're back